Hey everybody, Scott Weichel. You're listening to My Kind of Country right here on Fish Creek Radio. His career in country music has spanned over 50 years. He's toured with Johnny Cash, George Jones, Roger Miller, and so many other legends. And this weekend he will be performing in Missouri with Jimmy Johnson and the great Freddie Hart. He's with us tonight to talk about these upcoming shows and his fabulous career. It's my pleasure to welcome Claude Gray to My Kind of Country. Claude, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Let me tell you, Scott, I don't think anybody could have said it better. You said it exactly right, and it's a pleasure to be with you here.
Well, it's my honor, and right away I have to tell you something. If I Ever Need a Lady is one of my all-time favorite songs, and I just want to thank you for putting that out there because I love that song.
Thank you. I've never really cared for my particular record on that. You mentioned Johnny Cash a few minutes ago, and I was on a show in Houston with Johnny Cash and George Jones and Roger Miller, and George brought that song into me in the dressing room, and he said, "Hey, Roger Miller just wrote this song and gave it to me to give to you. It's your next single." And I said, "Okay." So it was my next Mercury record there.
Wow.
I never really liked my record on it because back in those days, the labels were trying to make records that would go pop,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't allowed to use steel guitars or fiddles on those first records on Mercury. So it didn't turn out exactly like I hoped, but I'm glad you like it. And a lot of people, they love it too. I know a lot of people say it's their favorite song, but
You betcha.
But anyway, I thank you for it.
Well, it's a great song. I love it. Well, you are getting ready to do some shows with Jimmy Johnson and the great Freddie Hart down in Missouri this coming weekend, Friday, June the 3rd at the Grundy County Senior Center, and Saturday, June 4th at the Klein Opry in Weston, Missouri. And we have that information on our Facebook page, and you can always contact us here, and we'll get you the information. And then June the 18th at the Thespian Hall in Boonville, Missouri also.
I think so. And, I'm hoping that the whole state of Missouri and Iowa is not blown away before we get up there. Bad weather up there.
Yeah, you guys are having some bad weather. I know our phone conversation is getting a little choppy here at times, so our apologies, folks. But we're doing the best we can here. We got some big storms going on down there.
Yeah, now you're in Michigan, aren't you?
I'm in Michigan. Yeah, we got some rain last night, but we have all the storms that hit south of us so far, so we've been pretty lucky.
Yeah, you did get lucky. You sure did. Well, I hope I can, not send you some, but hope they get the heck out of Texas here for a few days.
Amen to that.
And weather will clear up. But I think we'll have some good weather up in Missouri for those shows with me and Freddie, and I think we'll have some good crowds too, thanks to people like you.
Well, I know that this is a fabulous show, and I've talked to Jimmy and Freddie both, and it doesn't get any more good country music than what you guys are doing. And folks, I mean, my gosh, 3 great acts on one ticket, you can't beat it. There's no reason not to go check these shows out. You're going to be thoroughly entertained, and these are country music legends, folks.
Well, I tell you, Scott, I've worked with Freddie several times down through the years. As a matter of fact, quite a bit. But I haven't worked with Freddie in, I would say, 3 or 4 years. He lives out in Burbank, California, and I live in East Texas. And we talk fairly often, and exchange Christmas cards and things like that. But this will be my first opportunity to work with Freddie in several years. So I'm looking forward to it. He's a great guy.
He sure is. He is one of the best, and he and his cohort there, Don Bradley. I'll tell you what, you can't ask for nicer people.
Don, he called me the other day, and I don't know what happened to Don. Really, he was a pretty big guy out there in California for years, and then all of a sudden, he kind of ducked out of sight for a while. And I'm glad to know he's back.
Oh yeah. I talk to him just about every day. He's I've gotten to be real good friends with him, and he's got so many great stories. I just love to to listen to him, and it seems like every time I mention somebody, he knows him and he's got a story about it.
Yeah, he really does. He goes back to those I guess you might call them the Bakersfield days with Buck Owens and Merle and all those people out there in California. I knew him, but he was with them every day, you know. And I've always had a great respect for Don Bradley.
Me too. I sure do. I consider him one of my dearest friends, and his company, Bradley Brothers Records, is one of our sponsors, and we're very proud of that as well. Well, Claude, I want to ask you about a few of your songs here while we've got a few minutes, and tell me the story about Family Bible.
Well, when I got out of the Navy, I went up in Houston down there selling cars, and I enjoyed that. I was a pretty good car salesman. And while I was there, I recorded my first record, and I can't think the name of it. And I'm sure you never heard. Oh, where were you when the doorbell rang? That was it.
Oh yeah.
And it was released on a little bitty label there in Houston that was owned by Mickey Gill, his brother. And Mickey had out a little record on the same little label at the same time that I did. But, you know, it was only distributed, it was placed on jukeboxes and things around Houston like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it got me acquainted with the people at the radio stations locally, the country stations. And one day I got a call from Earl Aycock, who was on the Pasadena country station, and he said, hey, and Earl was from Meridian, Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
And he said, hey, there's a station in Meridian that's going country, and they needed somebody down there to help them that looked like a good DJ. I said, that's me. He said, well, you got the job. I'll call them from here on your way. Now, this was in 59, early 59. So I was there and was there 4 or 5 months. I got a call from the guitar player Paul Busk, who was a good friend of Willie Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, come on down. He said, you and I bought a song called The Family Bible from Willie, and we got you a session set up. So I went down and cut the record there in Houston, and Pappy Daly's D Records released it for us. And, you know, it was my first record, and it was not my first record, but my second. And it hit Billboard Top 10, and things kind of, you know, kind of took off for me there. So I got very lucky, and thanks to Willie, well, you know, that particular song keeps getting bigger and bigger, it seems like.
Oh yeah, so many artists have recorded it, and that's it's still an iconic song. You still see it popping up on new albums, and yeah, it's got a life all its own.
I know Willie and Merle, you know, they recorded it on a duet album they did. What was that, about 5 months ago, 6 months ago, maybe?
Yeah.
And I haven't heard their duet on it, but I understand it. It's kind of boosted sales on the album and the song too.
Oh yeah.
Kind of anxious to hear it.
That's always a favorite among country and gospel fans for sure. Well, tell me about your biggest hit. I'll just have another cup of coffee.
Well, that came into the radio station there at WDAL when I was in Meridian. It just came in like any other record, and I liked it. And I had just had Shelby Singleton drop by and sign me to Mercury, so I said I'm gonna put that on my first session. So it came off pretty good, and you know, it was a pretty good hit. Matter of fact, I got a gold record from Mercury on it.
Wow!
And it did real well for me.
Well, I understand that Bob Marley did a version of it too. Is that right?
Did you say Bob Farley?
Bob Marley, the reggae singer.
Somebody else did a version of it. I haven't heard it, and didn't know that they had until I saw it somewhere on maybe Facebook.
Yeah, I'd read that he did a version of it, and he retitled it "Cup of Coffee." And I guess he liked the song real well. He liked your version of it, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I'd like to get a copy of his record sometime.
Well, if I find it, I'll send it to you.
I have a chance there, but thank you for bringing up that song.
Played a lot on my show. Well, they're kind of a controversial song that you did called "The Ballad of Jimmy Hoffa." Tell me a little bit about that one.
Well, one of the helped me the Family Bible. So an agent for the team in there in Houston, and he was a Jimmy Hoffa fan, and he said, why don't we get her song, and write it about Jimmy Hoffa. So we did. We sat down and wrote it. And then a DJ friend of mine that had come over to Meridian to help me at the radio station, Smokey Stover. He was a well-known disc jockey around Houston down through there. Smokey actually recorded it. I don't know if I ever recorded it or not, but Smokey did.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we got the song. Me and the Teamsters agent for the for the union wrote the song.
Oh, okay.
And somebody else mentioned that song yesterday. Terry Burford out in Magnolia, Arkansas. Do you know Terry?
Yeah, I know that. I don't know him personally, but I know the name.
Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday, and he brought up the Jimmy Hoffa tune.
Oh, yeah.
But I just about the time that record came out, I guess by Smokey, a copy of it was sent to Jimmy Hoffa, and I understand that he really took out after that record. And of course, that's a great compliment to Hoffa.
Yeah.
Well, you were going to put a lot of Teamsters money behind the record, and then he kind of disappeared, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
But
that was an interesting time in history.
It is. But I appreciate you remembering that.
Well, folks, Claude Gray has a website. It's claudegray.weebly.com, and you can go there and check out his music and all about him and his tour dates and everything. And, of course, we'll have that information on our Facebook page for My Kind of Country as well. There's a really nice CD collection that Jasmine Records put out, and you can get a lot of Claude's music there. And I highly recommend you go visit him and Freddie and Jimmy at these shows down in Missouri. You're going to have a fantastic time. And Claude, are you still doing any recording at all?
No, I haven't done any now. I did a gospel album about 3 or 4 years ago,
mm-hmm.
but that's the last thing. But I do have in mind I want to do another album, and if I can get the material, and hopefully I'll have enough material by the end of this year to go in the studio. And I just don't want to go on there and record an album just to be recording an album,
Sure.
But I would like to go in and cut a superior album with just really quality songs.
Well, songwriters that are listening to our show, there's your opportunity to get your songs to Claude Gray, and he's looking for some material. So there's your shot.
Hey, Scott, I tell you what, I hope I'll run into you one of these days. And while we're talking here, I want to invite all the people up in Missouri and southern Iowa, if they get a chance, to come out and see me and Freddie Hart at Trenton, Missouri on the 3rd of June. And Klein's Opry in Western, Missouri on the 4th. And on the 18th, I think we're we're in Boonesville, Missouri. By the way, I'm also appearing at the Kennison family's yearly country music festival in Wahoo, Nebraska on June 25th and 26th. So we'll invite you out if you're down that way, Scott, to be with us. And
all right.
Of course, all the other folks would like to come.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're staying busy. That's fabulous.
Well, I'm not busy enough. I would like to work every day, it's what I do, and it keeps me going.
Sure.
But the dates are just not as plentiful as I would like, because we don't have the exposure on the AM stations or just the regular classic country music stations. We don't have enough of them. What used to be the country music stations, somehow or another the right wing talk show hosts syndicate kind of slipped in, and kind of took that over. And I'm not begrudging that, because I like those people. I like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin and those people. But they're occupying what used to be a good disc jockey like yourself played country music on,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why you're
Oh,
seeing a lot of the internet stations like what I'm doing and the satellite stations that are getting really popular because they're playing this kind of music, and we're going to keep on doing it.
yep.
I guarantee you that.
Yeah, you are. You guys are having a big audience there, and I love you for it. I do. Thank you. If it wasn't for you, we probably wouldn't get any exposure except on Willie's Roadhouse.
Well, if it wasn't for great artists like you, I wouldn't have anything to play.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
certainly.
I look forward to meeting you sometimes.
Well,
And
me too, and I certainly appreciate all the wonderful music you've given us. And I hope that when you get a new album done, I hope you'll get us a copy of it because I would love to play it.
I really will. I wanted to do one with Gordon Lightfoot, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I had some inroads there and some requests, but I haven't seen Gordon in a long, long time. But I used to know him quite well in the '60s. Used to work a lot in Canada, and especially Toronto was one of my hot spots. But I think Gordon's in kind of poor health now, and that probably won't happen. But I'll go in there and do it by myself.
Well, all right. Well, we'll look forward to that. And again, folks, please go see Claude Gray and Jimmy Johnson and the great Freddie Hart in concert. And we have all the information on our Facebook page, and you can contact us here at My Kind of Country, and we'll get you the ticket information. I promise you, you're going to love these shows. It's real good country music. You just can't get any better than that. Claude Gray, thank you so much for taking time to be on My Kind of Country, and I hope you're safe from those storms and have safe travels. And we're looking forward to the shows.
Thank you, Scott. We'll look forward to another time, buddy. Thank you.
All right, that is Claude Gray on My Kind of Country. I'm going to play my favorite song. Here's If I Ever Need a Lady, I'll Call You, Mr. Claude Gray, as we continue right here on Fish Creek Radio.